Good day everyone, my name is Precious Shola. So what we'll be doing today, we'll be creating a simple navigation bar where we'll have the logo at the left hand side and the links at the right hand side. So if you're a complete beginner in coding, web development or programming, this class is actually for you. So the first thing you want to do, you want to create a folder. So we'll name our folder navbar. Since we'll be using an image, that's the logo, we are going to create a folder for that. We can name the folder img. You can name your folder anything. So inside your folder, you're going to impute your logo inside your folder. You put your logo inside, you paste it inside, then you open the overall folder. It's VS Code. So the first thing you want to do, you want to create an index.html file. So to generate your HTML structure, shift and 1, you click enter. In our title, we're using navbar, and in our body now we want to create a navigation bar, so we're using nav tag because it's a navigation tag. So the first thing you want to do now, we want to impute our image, and because our image will be at the right hand side, so we are going to impute it first before our link. So to impute your image, you're going to use the img tag. You're just going to click img and enter. In your source, you are going to locate your image, and your image is inside the folder. So you are going to put the name of the folder img, then the name of the image KSP logo. Then the next thing we want to do now, we want to impute our links. So to do that, we are going to use dev. In my last class I explained what dev means. Dev is like a group tag. Yes, it's like a group tag where you group other HTML elements. It's usually used like a container. So we are going to use the link tag, and to use the link tag, you are just going to press A and enter. This is the link, and the first link we'll have is home. Yes, home. And usually the home link is usually linked or connected to the index page. So the next link we'll be having, so let me show you a shortcut. If you want to duplicate this, because the next thing you want to do, you want to create the link for, let's say, the about page and the blog page. So if you want to do that, you're just going to duplicate it. You're going to press alternate and shift, then the down arrow key is going to duplicate. The down arrow key is going to duplicate. We can give here about and here you can name it block. So in this place we just say about.html. If we were to create another about page, we'll just come here, create an about page and impute anything we want to impute. But to keep this tutorial basic, we are just going to use only one page, which is the index page. But if you want to create more page to link it together, so the next page will be the blog page. You can create the blog page, whatever you want to put inside. So when the user click about it, you take them to the index. When the user click the home page, you take them to the index page. When the user click about, you take them to the about page and the blog also. So we are going to save our work. And one thing I want to tell you about, there's something they call live server. When you come to your extension here, when you search for live server, this is it. I've installed it already. So you can come here, click here, it will install. If it's showing you disable, it means you already have it installed already. So I already have it installed, so that's what we are going to be using. So to use it, we are going to right click and open with live server. One of the benefits of live server is that you don't need to go and open with Chrome, and you don't need to refresh. Once you save it inside your VS Code, it's going to automatically refresh. So this is what we have here, our image and our links. If I click the home, it will still take us back to the index page. If I click the about, there's nothing, we didn't create any page, that's why here it's empty. If I click the blog, it's empty, we didn't create any page for that. To keep the tutorial basic, we're only using one page. So the next thing I want to do now, I want to style it. We'll take this to this side, to the right hand side, and resize it using CSS. And in my last class I gave a brief explanation about CSS, how to implement CSS, and some little things about CSS. If you've not watched my last video, you can watch it so you catch up. So I won't be repeating myself. So we'll be creating the CSS file. You can name it style.css. Remember, it it must be css.css. That's how the VS Code will know that this is a CSS file. So we are going to link our CSS, and to link your CSS it must be on the head tag. To link it, you use your link tag, press enter. In your href you are going to write style.css, the name you use for your CSS file, style.css. and now we are in our CSS. So I think let's just start with the nav. We'll say nav, we can give it a background color. Let's say a background color of let's say gray, background color of gray. When we click when you press Ctrl S, come back to your browser, you can see the gray is showing already. But the little issue we have here now, you can see that there's a white space here and there's a white space here. So I'll use this time to explain something. In CSS there's a topic called margin and padding, and usually there's always a default margin or padding, or I'll say there's always a default styling at every HTML element you are using. There's always a default styling. So usually when, as a professional, when you want to create a project, you're just going to do, there's what they call CSS reset. You are just going to use asterisk. You reset your margin. You can reset your margin to 0. Then you can reset the padding to 0 too. And there's what they call box sizing. So I won't be using that. We'll not be needing it. So maybe in my next class I'm going to explain what box sizing is. Usually when you, as a professional, when you want to create a full project, what you usually do is CSS reset. You are going to reset your margin and padding. When I click Ctrl S, you discover that white space is no longer there again. But since we are not creating a complete project, we won't be using that. So let me use this opportunity to explain what is margin and what is padding. What is margin and what is padding? To explain that, I'll be using the developer tool. In your Chrome browser, when you come these little 3 dots, when you click more tool, you see the developer tool. When you click there now, the body has a default margin of 8. See it here, the body has a default margin of 8, has a default border of 0. The border is 0 and the padding is 0 too. So what is padding? Padding is a space inside an HTML element, and margin is a space outside the HTML element, or outside the border of the HTML element. To give you more explanation, let's add a border to our navbar and a margin and a padding, so that to give you more understanding on it. So we can see our padding, let's give it 20 pixels, and margin, let's say margin 40 pixels, and our border, let's say border, we can say border, let's say 50 pixels. 50 pixels is too much, let's say 20 pixels. Then solid, I want our border to be solid. Then we can give it a color of red, let's say red. This for just the purpose of learning. When we press Ctrl S, when you come, you can see now, when you come here, you open here, you come to your nav, we just type, you can see we gave our navbar has a margin of 40, has a border of 20, and has a padding of 30. So the margin is the space after the border, and the padding is the space inside the element. Most time beginners usually get confused between padding and margin. Just understanding, padding is the space inside the element, and margin is the space after the border, that's outside the element. You can see it here. So I guess that's clear. If you don't understand it, you can go to W3 School to get more understanding on it. So we'll not be doing that. So the next thing we'll be doing, we'll give the body margin 0. Yes, margin 0 is the body that's actually having the default margin of 8. We'll give the body margin 0, and you can see there's no more space there again. So the next thing we want to do now, we want to give our navbar a padding of 15 pixels. Yes, and let me explain something. Margin of 15 pixels, there's something they call padding left, padding right, padding top, padding bottom. So you can add padding to the left, you can add padding to the right, you can add padding to the top, and also for margin you can add padding to the left, right, top, and bottom. When you say margin margin and you say 15 pixels, what CSS is saying, CSS is going to add 15 pixels margin, 15 pixels padding to both the top, bottom, left and right. When you do something like this, 30 pixels, what CSS is going to do, top and bottom will be 15, left and right is going to be 30. This is top and bottom, left and right. But when you just do it only like this, everything is going to be 15 pixels. And let's say for instance you just want to give only the right side a padding, you can actually say padding, you can actually say padding right, you can actually say padding, right, and you just give the right side a padding. So that's that for that. So the next thing we will be doing, we'll say display. In my last class I explained what display means, so I'll not be doing that again. You can go to the last class and watch. So the next thing we'll say justify content. If you remember in our last class we said justify content center, but today we'll not be using justify content center. We'll be saying justify content space between. When we press our Ctrl S, we'll come here, we can see the content has been justified and there's a space between them. Imagine if you say justify content center, just like our last class, center, you see the result we'll be getting. So that's why we are using space between. I guess that's self-explanatory. So the next thing we want to do, we want to align item. We are going to align item to center. When you press your Ctrl S, the items have been aligned to center. So the next thing we want to style our link. That's our a tag. We want to give it a color of, let's say, what color will be good? Let's say white, FF. Let's say white. Then if you see, press Ctrl S, you come here, our link is now white. But if you see, there's underline. That's the default styling for every a tag. It usually comes with underline. So to remove that, we are going to say text decoration. We'll say none. The next thing, we'll say margin. Let's say margin right. Want it to have space. If you see it, they are joined together. So I want to all the right hand side to have a space. So we can say let's say 20. Margin 20. So the next thing, the font is too small. Let's increase the font. Say font size to 18. Usually the default font size is, I think, is 16. You see, it's quite bigger. The default font size is 16. So we'll be using 18. Then we can say font width. That's the thickness of the font. So you can choose any number from here. Let's say let's do 50 or 60. Let's say 60. Right? Yes. So press our Ctrl S. You see our font is quite thicker and it's looking better. So the next thing we want to do now, we want to give it a hover. And the hover color is going to be let's say let's give it yellow. Let's say good. Okay. I want something like this. I want to use something like this. Something like this. So you can actually customize your color. You don't need to cram any color. Just like what I'm doing now, I'm customizing my color. I don't need to cram any color code. I think I'll use this. So when you press Ctrl S, you come here. When you hover over it, you see the color changes to gold. The color changes. So the next thing you want to do now, we want to style our image. Our image is too big. We want to reduce the size. We'll say width. You can reduce the size to, let's say, about 70 to 6, let's say 60 pixels now. Yeah, 60 pixels. See, it's quite okay now. And in CSS, when you see width, it actually covers both the height and the width. It reduces everything together. And I think we are done already. Remember, this class is a beginner class and everything we are doing is basics. So this is a simple navigation bar for beginner. And let's what can we do next? Let's change the font. And yes, the default font the default font is usually Times New Roman. So let's change the font to something else. To do that, we can do it here, but let's do it inside our body. So we can say font. To change your font is font family. Say font family. You can choose any font of your choice, but let me see which font will be okay. Let's say Area. Yes, Area. Let me press Ctrl S. You can see it now. The font has changed, and I think this is quite okay for a beginner's class. When you hover it, change to yellow. So thank you for watching. Do well to subscribe and do well to comment. Remain blessed. Thank you.